Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, March the 30th. Hey, there's some tournaments going on. Coosa River Team Trails at Neely Henry this week down there at City Park. Our friends at the Poor Folks Club are down there as well. Hey, we're going to check in with what the guys have to say. We're going to talk to Lee, Tom, Josh, and Gentry to find out what's going on in your neck of the woods. We'll be right back with what the guys have to say. Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, March the 30th. Hey, I'm back from the Bassmaster Classic. Going to talk some fishing right around home. We're going to check in right now with Tom Ott. Going to check in on Guntersville. What's happening up there, Tom?
Well, Dano, we have just had a good time on Guntersville. A lot of fish being caught. Still a little, can be a little tough out there. You know, we had a full moon come through, and it's always a little funny, you know, around the spawn and things like that. But, man, we're seeing a lot of fish up shallow, a lot of fish out those intermediate depths. You know, they're just moving all over the place. We did find it, you know, with the winds and things like that we had last week, it just made the bite a little tougher. And I think you had to move a little bit more. Unfortunately, with the high winds, it made moving around a little bit more difficult. But, you know, one day there we really had a excellent tournament day. The second day, we didn't have such a great tournament day, but we were still able to catch quite a few fish. And, you know, that pattern's still prevailing, you know, just running those vibrating jigs, rattle traps, spinner baits, a little bit of throwing a little bit of buzz bait in there, a little bit of swim bait. Still haven't seen that really take off yet, but we're catching some fish shallow doing that, throwing some plastics. Have been seeing a few fish on beds. I've heard stories of a lot of fish on the bed, but, you know, seeing a lot of old beds, few fish in them, that kind of thing. But, you know, bed fishing really isn't our deal. We're more of a, you know, power bait this time of year, and that seems to be the deal. All I can say is, you know, it's springtime, so the fish are going to be where you want them. It's fixing to be that time where you can throw a little stick bait at them and just have all the fun you want.
Tell me about the crappie bite up there, because I know the bass bite's going pretty good. What's the water temperature and what are those crappie doing?
Yeah, we're still, you know, just in the low 60s, maybe some upper 50s right there, you know, early in the mornings, but the crappie bite is really getting hot. You know, I've been asked by a lot of guys for doing some bank fishing and things. You know, the causeways are always a good place. Of course, if you can slide off through the woods a little bit, you want to do some bank fishing for some crappie. That's you know, a real viable pattern. Maybe get you some minnows. But if you're on a boat, I'm telling you, get you a couple of Bobby Garlands. Just go poke around in that, you know, in that 3-foot range around some grass. You're going to catch some spawning crappie. They're just, they're there. They're thick and they're big.
Tom, brother, we appreciate everything, man. We'll talk to you again next week. Have a great weekend.
All right, guys. Safe travels, tight lines, and we'll talk to you soon.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, March the 30th. Hey, I'm joined by the guy that knows these lakes better than just about anyone in the country, Lee Pitts. We're going to talk a little bit of Weiss Lake and a little bit of Neely Henry. Let's start at Neely Henry right now, Lee, because we got Coosa River Team Trail there this weekend. What's happening over here? What's going on Neely Henry?
You know, Neely right now is fishing pretty good, especially bass-wise. It's these fish are kind of coming up, and you know they're getting in these gravel places again in the mouths of some of these bays, so it's looking good right now. A lot of the large getting up where you know you can kind of get shallow with them, get up there with a chatterbait, a jig, throwing some kind of plastic, fishing it around. You know, look for some of these stumps, some of these lay downs. The spotted bass are still kind of staying out in that current a little bit right now.
Is it a grass deal? Is it a wood deal? A rock? What are we looking for when we're going to Neely Henry?
You know, a little bit of both. You're looking, if you can find a good hard bottom, something with a little bit of slope to it, and it's got a lay down on it, you know, the fish are starting to get in it. And also, we've had plenty of wind this last week. That's something that you can look for a chatterbait, maybe a spinner bait, something like that for a big largemouth to be laid.
Gotcha. All right, let's turn to Weiss Lake. What's going on up there? I see you're up there slinging some crappie over the side of the boat. What's happening up there?
Yeah, we battled that wind all week long. That's just been one of the things, trying to stay out of the wind and get in a place where you can. Long lining has been real productive, you know, where the fish are starting to come up off the bottom a little bit. A lot of fish still out there deep. Your big schools of fish are getting in your major creeks like Bay Springs, Yellow Creek, Little River, places like that. A little hard to catch when they're laying on that bottom, but what we're looking for is if you can find some of those fish that are coming off that bottom, getting up most time midday, getting a little sunshine, getting out of some of this wind, you can knock around and catch you some pretty good fish right now. Black chartreuse, June bug chartreuse, slab slayers, and baby shads have been the key here lately.
All right, so let's turn to the bass bite on Weiss. What's happening up there now?
We've had a pretty good week, bass fishing on Weiss. Had some traffic out. I think with the wind, you can play some of these long points a little bit better. Spinnerbait bite has been good, and also, which is not my favorite thing to throw, but a lot of guys catching these spots on shaky head, getting out there on some of your hard clay bottoms, some of your rocky bottoms. They're catching some of these fish out there with a shaky head slowing down. Crankbait bite's been pretty good. Open water, secondary points, things like that. Little Johns, deep little ends, just some kind of little smaller crankbait.
Sounds like it could be a little bit of fun. I think you need to dress warm in the mornings, but be able to strip some stuff off in the afternoons, right?
That's it, man. You got to bundle up in the mornings and try to work on your tan in the afternoon.
Sounds like a good Alabama weather. Lee, thanks, brother. We appreciate everything, and we'll talk to you again next week. Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, March the 30th. Hey, we're joined by Gentry Gordy, Columbus, Georgia, paramedic extraordinaire. Gentry, what's going on at Lake Martin and Jordan Lake these days?
We'll start at Jordan, Dano. It's just that time of year, man. You can, just put the trolling motor on it and go down the bank. I said it last week. You get the grass, swim a jig, throw a popping frog. Hit the docks. I mean, just it's everywhere. It's wide open. Got some good bites on a rattle trap. On some of the. Jordan's a lot different than like the rest of the coast. Jordan's a little bit deeper. You don't have, Lay, you got a lot of long tapered points and flats. Jordan's got some of them over in the lakes, but if you just get a shallow point, throw a rattle trap across it, throw a spinnerbait across it. And you got fish coming and going, so they'll be deep, they'll be shallow, they'll be midway. It's whatever you want to do. They're eating.
Is it kind of the thing where if you're actually competing over there, you're going to want to focus on largemouth at this point because of the way that those fish are starting to move up, or can you do both? Can you go spot and largemouth and be competitive?
You can. Yeah, if you know the canals and up the river, you can absolutely be competitive with spots, especially on Jordan. But as time, and I don't think it's there yet, but as time ticks on, you'll get up there and all of a sudden there'll be a 6-pound spot laying on a bed you think is a largemouth. So I think we're, as far as running the banks competing with both, I think we're still a little bit away from that. Gotcha. But if you know those, if you know the river and the canals, you can be deadly, especially if you can get one big largemouth in the rest spots.
Gotcha. All right, let's turn to Lake Martin. Tell me what's going on down there.
It's clearing up. Well, a lot of the places never get muddy, but some of the muddier places are starting to clear up a little bit. We're starting to get a little break in the rain. But your dirtier pockets like Sandy and the back of Blue Creek, and, Manoy, those creeks are still stained. Water's a little bit warmer in there, so it's a moving bait type deal. If you get something you think locked on, slow down with a wacky rig or something. But your clear water, your Blue Creek, stuff like that, put your sunglasses on, look shallow, go to the back because they're there. It's that time of year.
I fished at Lake Martin a little bit, and I like a floating worm over there this time of the year. And sometimes I go with a little different colorings. Brother, yeah. We appreciate everything. Thanks for what you do for the community, and thanks for what you do for us. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care, guys.
Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, March the 30th. Hey, we're joined by bait builder extraordinaire from Tato Designs, Josh Herron. Really successful weekend for him at the Bassmaster Classic. But right now, what we're going to do is touch bases on Logan Martin and Lay Lake. Josh, pick your poison. Tell us what the fishing's like.
Man, pollen's falling, love's in the air. So we've been waiting on. Yep. So you're going to get a chance to actually go look at a few here in the next week or two. So looking forward to that. We got Coosa River Team Trail coming up this weekend. Neely should show out, and hopefully Logan and Lay are on course to do the same. Fish should be starting to push really, really shallow. They're fixing to do their deal. I'm sure a couple already have.
Yep.
So, man, it's not that great of a time a year for fishing itself, but it's definitely a time where you can catch some great big ones, and you get a chance to actually look at a few.
Yeah, and that's always the thing during tournaments. You want the biggest fish do what they're doing, right?
Yeah. Man, generally the week or two leading up to the spawn and the few weeks after, they're not traditionally great fishing weekends. If fish really aren't keyed up on eating and feeding and everything else like that. But you're still going to get the opportunity to lay. The popping frog's really going to start showing out, and that's just going to be a guarding instinct deal. Logan, these spotted bass really like a spook when they get up on bed for whatever reason. So that's another really good thing. You can throw super, super shallow early in the mornings. Actually, you're more blind fishing for bedding spotted bass than you are anything, whether you realize it or not. And then later in the day, man, it's going to turn into that wacky rig, flick shake kind of deal to where you're pitching around, especially at Logan, on some of these isolated rock places. And it's still the deal. You're essentially blind bed fishing. So really lightweight Carolina rigs thrown shallow, something that's kind of oddball. It'll work really good at Logan this time of year. Like I said, a flick shake, wacky rig kind of deal. Weightless Senkos, stuff like that's really going to shine. And at Lay, Lay's a little bit different, but for the spotted bass, it'll still work the same. Largemouth, you're just going to put your eyes on them. So it's lithium battery time of the year. Set them on 100, burn them down.
Yep, you want to cover some bank and look for some movement. Hit some dock posts and some lay down trees. You probably put a few fish in the boat. Josh, brother, as always, thanks for everything. Say hi to Miss Erin and Miss Emerson for us. We'll talk to you again next week.
Later, man. We're beach bums this week. Y'all have fun.
No, you too. Well, that'll wrap up our Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, March the 30th. Thanks to the guys for everything that they do every week to help put a few fish in our boats. Don't forget to come on by and see us at Bucks Island if you're looking for that boat. This is the last day you can exercise on rebates from Skeeter. We got Crest rebates. We got a few other things that end tomorrow. Come see us if you're looking for that new boat. Great time to get a little help on that purchase. Of course, if you've got that boat you want to keep running, go see Pat and everybody in the parts. Misty and everybody in the service department. Of course, if you're looking for that tackle to put some fish in the boat, go see Colin and Jamie upstairs in the loft. Other than that, thanks for everything that you do. You are the best part of Bucks Island, and we'll talk to you again next week.